Greetings! In this tutorial, we're going to be looking at the edit controls that line this horizontal black strip. Let's start on the far left side with our Edit Window View selector. Use this window to show or hide additional parameters of the edit window. This command is duplicated in the Window Edit Window submenu. Next, we've got the Ruler view selected. Same thing, it's a duplicate of the Window Ruler submenu, and it allows us to choose which rulers we'd like to see. The next area is the Linearity Display mode selector. You use this to switch all tracks to either samples or ticks display. Samples gives us absolute time. Ticks gives us a display that's relative to the current tempo settings. In sample display, you see the audio waveform at its current sample rate, usually 44.1 kilohertz per second. So if you increase the tempo, each bar will take up less space on your screen. In ticks view, each bar of 3/4 takes up the same amount of space in the edit window. So there's no adjustment to the sound, it's just to how it looks in your edit window. See here how the same selection of music has now stretched out to occupy a wider part of your screen. Let's undo it. Back to ticks display. And let's get our tempo back to 60. The next control is called Tabs to Transients. When it's enabled, it's got a blue box around it. With this enabled, when you press Tab, you're going to move to a location right before the next transient peak or to the next audio region boundary, beginning or end. This is a handy time saver if you're editing, for example, a long voiceover. Option or Alt plus the Tab key will move you backwards. And it also works if multiple tracks are selected. To the right, we've got the Commands Focus button. There are two more Commands Focus buttons in this window. One is in the region list. The third one is in the groups list. When you highlight this button, single key shortcuts are active. You need to check the Pro Tools keyboard shortcuts documentation for a list of these. Keep that handy. Tape it to your desk, tape it to your windshield. Learn some of these shortcuts. It's going to save you a lot of time. Let's move on to the next tool. When you activate this, you link the timeline and the edit selection. This is a duplicate of this command in Options. This lets you reposition playback simply by clicking in a new location on a track in the edit window. Our next command is called Link Track and Edit Selection. It's the same as the command under the Options menu also. With this enabled, when you select a range on a track, you automatically select the entire track itself. This is a convenient way to select one or more tracks for track-level operations such as grouping them, making them inactive, dragging them to a new location in the track list, etc. Our next button is called Mirrored MIDI Editing. When you have this active, any changes you make to a MIDI region are applied to all other MIDI regions with the exact same name. Suppose I make changes to this drum loop here. I draw them into one region, and it'll affect the rest of the regions. Our next command is the Grid Value Display drop-down menu. Here we have the current time increments in use when Grid Edit mode is enabled. The time units default to the currently active timescale ruler, but you can independently select a timescale here. Now I've got minutes here and bars and beats there. Next is our nudge value display, and here I can also select an independent nudge value. Nudge allows me to move regions to the right or left with the plus or minus keys on your numeric keypad. If your keyboard doesn't have a numeric keypad, get one, because this makes editing so much easier. You just hit plus or minus to move according to the nudge value that you've selected. Again, your nudge value can be different than your grid value. Nudging is a really convenient way to make fine adjustments to timing without zooming in all the way. And you can also type in your own nudge value in the display here. There's a few very convenient shortcuts that are worth your time to memorize. If you'd only like to nudge the end, use Command on your Macintosh or Control in Windows with the plus and minus signs on your numeric keypad. If you want to only nudge the beginning, use the Option key on your Mac or the Alt key in Windows with the plus and minus signs on your numeric keypad. If you'd like to nudge the waveform contents without affecting the start or end positions, hold down the Control key on your Mac or the Start key on your Windows machine, and then click the plus and minus signs. You need to have additional audio available from your source audio file for this to work. In this area, we see our cursor location display. It shows the time location in whatever units the main counter is using. Over here, the cursor value shows the vertical position of the cursor in your track. For example, if your audio track is in volume display, when I run along the track, I'll see a display of the volume in decibels. It also gives me my vertical position on MIDI tracks. When I run my cursor over the MIDI notes, I see the MIDI note value. And this concludes our overview of these additional edit tools.